Hello everyone, Impiator here, and welcome to my Let's Play for The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Even almost 30 years later, this game remains a favorite of mine and is one of the few that I regularly replay. So many of today's video game experiences are soulless exercises in excess. But this game continues to amaze me with the care put into it and how it balances its core and side content. Emulating Nintendo 64 games, however, remains problematic, even via official means. But reverse engineering efforts have finally made it possible to run this and many other Nintendo 64 games natively on PC, with mods that greatly improve the visuals and quality of life. For those interested in a more technical breakdown of the recompilation project, I'll link Modern Vintage Gamer's video. He is a game developer and a fixture in both the emulation and modding communities. I plan on this being a 100% playthrough and have long kept an item list I created for myself to assist in achieving that, so one might consider this a walkthrough. But with that out of the way, let's go ahead and start the game. Now, there are a lot of additions that are made to this version of the game. I have, again, mods plugged in, but I also have the recompilation project running, which itself gives you a lot of features too, and we're going to see some of those features. For example, we have the ability to select from multiple quests, including the Master Quest, which was officially released later on, I think, the GameCube, if I'm not mistaken. So we're going to go ahead and play the base game, however. In addition, Link is the canonical hero of the Zelda games. So obviously we don't actually play as Zelda. So, but it automatically inserts Link now for us as well. But otherwise you can change it to anything you want. So we'll go ahead and start a new game. Navi, Navi, where art thou? Come hither. I've always liked how this game kind of spins a almost Shakespearean spin on the dialogue, at least for some of the characters, anyway. So I am going to stick on the dialogue long enough for people who want to read it, though I'm not going to be reading it myself. So this is the Kokiri Forest. It is full of fairy children, as well as their fairy companions. However, you, conspicuously, do not have your own fairy companion. But it seems that you have been assigned one by the Great Deku Tree. Or some kind of destiny.
Hello. Hey.
So one thing that's been changed is that I am running a mod that installs models from the 3DS version of the game. In some ways, I think that the 3DS models are kind of inferior because they make the game look a little bit more cartoony than the game would probably lead you to believe, though the early game does kind of start cartoony anyway. It does become a lot more serious as the game goes on. Definitely becomes a lot darker, too. So this is Saria, one of your childhood friends. One of the interesting things about this era of gaming is how they would actually give you a booklet that had details about characters, and they kind of expected you to read the booklet before playing the game. And so you'd learn a lot about the environment just purely on that. Another game that did that comes to mind is StarCraft. The manual was absolutely integral to learning about that game's world. So this entire area is basically a training ground. And so our ultimate goal is to go over there, but there's a guy named Mido who's going to stop us, and we have to have a sword and shield for that. So we're going to go ahead and find those. Now, one thing I do want to point out that's kind of cool is that we have the ability to rotate the camera freely, more like a traditional twin-stick action-adventure game. Otherwise, though, the Z targeting does still work, but it's definitely not as demanding or required as it was in the original game. So, again, this plays a lot smoother, in my opinion, than it ever did on the Nintendo 64, especially. Navi is, of course, just as annoying as she always has been. So she wants us to follow her. But for now, we're going to need to go get a sword and shield, because we can't even progress without them. I've also modified all of the UI elements. So at the top right, you'll notice that I have both a D-pad there, as well as my Xbox controller details, and as well as an R button that I didn't bother to change the shape of. So there's a lot of functionality to the actual game's wizard, the menu, which you can customize things with if you want to. So I've tried to customize it for my experience and for my controller and my preferences. So I'll go ahead and grab some money. We need 40 rupees, in fact, so... Oh, no. So we got ourselves our sword. Another thing that the recompilation project does is it allows you to automatically equip certain items rather than you having to go into the menu. Another neat thing about this is I can actually take items from the equipment page and I can, for example, bind them to the arrows on my controller, which is a lot more like what you could do with the 3DS version of the game. So that gives me a lot more I/O options for interacting with and selecting items compared to the C buttons that I was limited to on the N64. So now that we have a sword, our goal is going to be to go buy a shield. We're going to need 40 rupees for that. However, I like to stay stocked up on rupees as we'll be using them throughout the game in order to buy various things, but for now we really just need 40 rupees. So if we get 40 rupees, we'll probably go ahead and just progress. Oh, well, that's dumb. Apparently they never imagined that I might have to go inside the wall to get a rupee. So we'll go up there to get that 5 rupee here in a moment. We're going to go in here. Got a couple of chests. Again, something to keep in mind is that this game was released in an era where this was one of the first 3D games. And so a lot of the things that you find in this first area are how to do typical 3D things that we tend to take for granted today. But I think it was really good for the era that this game was released in. And it's something that's almost entirely skippable as well, too. So If we make this jump across these without falling in the water, we get 5 rupees. We can reset it by going inside a building. I don't quite have enough yet, so I'm going to go ahead and head in here. There's usually 1 rupee that's white, or I'm sorry, green, 1 that's blue. That's going to give us enough. In addition, there's a rupee up there. It's a 5 rupee. Now, right now we are limited to 99 rupees. Eventually we'll be able to get a larger wallet. So this was your tutorial on how to use the Z targeting system. This was how you actually interacted with the camera in the original game. Again, there was no side-to-side or up-to-down camera. It was basically doing this constantly and pressing the Z trigger, which worked for the time, but god, this feels so much better. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and buy the shield. So now we have the necessities to get past Middo over here. I do have a shield, and I have a sword. A wimp? I'm always going to my death, boy. Classic bully. So these things will give us Deku sticks. These can be used for attacking, however, they're not any better than the base weapons that you can get. Their main goal is to light things on fire. And we'll get plenty of them on our journey. Apparently we have sensed it, boss. Now, normally in this game, we have complete freedom to go anywhere we want. For now, though, we are kind of stuck just going in here. But eventually we'll have the entire world to explore. This dungeon kind of acts as an extended tutorial. These guys, if you attack them when they're up like that, they will drop sticks. Otherwise, if you kill them like normal, they will drop Deku nuts. We'll go ahead and equip these to our buttons, and we can use the nuts to basically stop enemies in their tracks. Navi, ever the annoying companion. Other thing to call out is the game auto-saves, which was sometimes problematic in the original game. And just so many cool quality of life changes. Now, Navi is calling out that we can climb this, but obviously we have to deal with these first. So I'm going to go ahead and get the dungeon map that's here. I'll talk more about the dungeon map once we also get the compass. But for now, we're going to head over here. This will allow us to get an item that will be better capable of dealing with these enemies. So these guys just got to basically hit their thing back at them and then get near them or stand on their pad while they're running around. gonna give us some suggestions about how to avoid taking damage whenever we drop from a high place. So we now have a slingshot. We're going to equip that to the R button. We also climb up here for a chest. Those are used as bullets for the slingshot. Now, interestingly enough, this game is more like a Metroidvania game than I think what Zelda has more recently become. From the third game and all the way up until pretty much Breath of the Wild, these games had turned more into a Metroidvania game, which is basically a game based on the Metroid and Castlevania games where you basically collected equipment, and that equipment would allow you to go back to previous areas, unlock paths, which is very much what these games are doing. I actually prefer that mode. I don't know what people have to say about Breath of the Wild, but I do think it's overrated. But that's a conversation for another time. So we got our first Skulltula. Later we will be able to use the Skulltulas to trade for various items in the game. Important items. So we need to get 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and 100 to get all the various items that can be granted to us via that. Otherwise, though, we've got that as well as the chest. We got a bigger chest over here, which contains the compass. Now, before we access the compass, what you'll notice is that I have access to the map, but we don't have anything on the map. So, we open this up, we will have a view of where we are, as well as where hidden things are. So, now we can see, for example, chests on some of these floors. Otherwise, though, we got what we need here, so we're going to go ahead and unlock this door by lighting a torch using a Deku stick. So I'm going to try to get this heart. Looks like it's easiest to get a hold of it from this side. So jump attacks do the most damage, but they can leave you vulnerable. Otherwise, though, our goal is to drop down here. A part of the floor here is accessible. The other part lands us in water. So we're going to use this to access this area over here. So it gives us a hint on defeating his brothers. 23 is number 1, 231. We'll talk about that whenever we get to that point. So for now, we are basically limited to diving, but eventually we will have the ability to sink down to the water's bottom. That'll lower the water for us to get underneath this. You can make yourself a little bit shorter. Not required here, though. So we can move the block. And a lot of the puzzles here are very simple. They do get more complicated though, but it's a very gradual build in complexity, which is something I really like about this game because it doesn't... the learning curve is not at all difficult. There are also plenty of ways to make the game easier too, if you're struggling. Now, important call out about this. This is something that we want to make sure that we remember about because that sound indicates that this can be cracked open using a bomb. We don't have bombs yet though, so we will need to come back a little bit later once we have bombs. Hence the Metroidvania side of things that I talked about earlier. As you can probably tell, this dungeon is very small. There's not a whole lot here. We're already back in kind of the original, one of the original rooms that we were in. Just now we have the ability to push a block to give us access to fire and then send us down into that pit. So this is the 23 is number 1 puzzle. Basically just need to do them from left to right, 2, 3, followed by 1. Now we should go stand on his pad. Oh, there he goes. So it gives us a little bit of a reveal on how to deal with the boss. And this is going to lead us to the boss. Again, this is a very simple dungeon. Most of the dungeons are a lot more complicated than this, but the curve is awesome. So if you're struggling, you can always use Navi to tell you what to deal with, how to deal with the boss. In this case, though, we just need to catch him while he is got red eyes. Jump attacks work the best. And there goes. After every boss, we get a full heart. But we'll also be able to find heart quarters, heart pieces a little later. Story of creation. At least as depicted in a video game. He's like, did you kill the Deku tree? You did? Oh well. What a weirdo. Anyways, that does unlock our ability to leave this place. Though we will be back fairly soon. We got our first ocarina. Or ocarina. I've always said ocarina. I know it's technically ocarina. So eventually we'll be able to play various songs that do various things, including allow us to fast travel. So now we have access to the greater world at large. And there's a lot of exploration to do, but you've kind of been directed on where you need to go, which is to see the princess. This owl is a fixture of most of the Zelda games. One of the things that was done for this version of the game is that yes is selected by default, otherwise he repeats himself. And God, does it get irritating. Again, quality of life features. Even simple ones like that. Alright, so we are headed to the castle now. And I actually want to try to get to the castle before it is nighttime, if possible. So time passes in this game fairly quickly. Though later we will have access to a song that will let us change from day to night and night to day. Oh, we're approaching dusk. It's going to be a close one. So the gate will close once it reaches nighttime. And there's a trick here. You can get 60 rupees. And then back here we have another Skulltula, our fourth. Alright, so we're at 99 rupees right now. This is a nice simple place to go into because it does refill. Otherwise, though, it's worth mentioning that there is a little secret that we can do. We want to get this dog specifically. This is Richard. to follow us. And this woman is looking for her dog. We now have a heart piece. And we'll be able to get many, many more throughout the game. So a lot of these shops are going to have items in them that we can buy. However, we can't access most of them. And then these two actually have challenges that you can perform in order to get things. We're going to talk to Malin, though. So she's looking for her dad. We're going to head out to the castle. However, beyond bribing the castle guard, we actually can't get into the castle right now. But if we come back, you'll notice that now Malin is gone. And then we'll head back over here, and she has now moved. Now, ideally, we want to talk to her before morning. Otherwise, we'll have to wait for time to pass. Because we want to get an item from her that she will give us, and it will activate on the following morning. So apparently her dad has fallen asleep. Or at least that's what she thinks. So we've got the gold scutilla. We're going to be working our way up through here. We'll go do some stuff inside the market in probably the next episode. For now, though, we're just heading directly to Princess Zelda. So you kind of have to, what's the word? Thread the needle between the guards to get through there. Not too bad, though. And then there are more guards up here that we can bypass by climbing. So the item we are carrying has now become a chicken. Or a cuckoo, actually. So apparently her daughter, or his daughter, is the one in charge. Clearly wears the pants in their family. So if memory serves me correctly, they close this off at nighttime, so ideally we want to push these to their final locations before nighttime so we can get in. Again, wanting to avoid having to manually wait for time to pass as much as possible. In the beginning of the next episode, though, we will be getting the Sun Song, which lets us to progress time. And that'll make life a little bit easier for us. Otherwise, though, these guards are nothing special. They're very easy to avoid. So you can either go on top, which I don't recommend, or just wait for him to pass. Otherwise, that's kind of a trap. Alright, we have made it. Couple little tricks. Inside the window are some Nintendo characters. We got 20 rupees. I'm already full, though. This one, however, will get someone to throw a bomb at us. Jerk. Anyway. Hello, Princess Zelda. Ah, the Ocarina of Time. Apparently, she's been spying. A letter with the Princess Zelda's autograph. Now, one of the other things that the compilation preserves is the ability to remap your controls in order to adjust all of the buttons to whatever is on a modern controller. However, I am very used to the directional inputs that are used with the C buttons in the original Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. And so you can actually remap all of the C buttons Ocarina inputs to the D-pad. Otherwise, you can fairly customize it too using this version of the game. And with that, I think that's going to bring us to the end of the episode. In the next episode, we are going to be doing some exploration in Kakariko Village, which is very close by. We're actually going to also head back to the Kokiri Forest, as well as to the Lost Woods, which is accessible from the Kokiri Forest. And we're going to be doing a little bit of side content as well, including at the Lon Lon Ranch. But until then, thank you everybody for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. Later.